Hi and welcome to the Beer Temple. I am Chris Quinn and today is Valentine's Day, so I figured it would only be appropriate to do some sort of themed show, and I've got a lot of beers here that I'm going to get into. Chocolate beers. Historically not really a true historical style, but certainly in the craft beer boom, a lot of people have realized that a lot of these dark beers, typically dark beers, sometimes you can have a light chocolate ale. A lot of times these dark beers that have, chocolate malt, and that is the name of the malt. There is a malt called chocolate malt because it gives a lot of these deep, rich, chocolatey flavors. They taste nice and chocolatey. In fact, Brooklyn has a very well-known stout called Black Chocolate Stout. And people realized that, well, you can actually add chocolate or cacao or cocoa nibs to chocolate and enhance that flavor. So there's a lot of beers out there. I certainly couldn't have them all. So I figured I'd take a whole bunch of chocolate beers, some of which are available here at the store and some of which are not, and taste them out and see how they integrate chocolate and beer together. That's really about it. Just figured I'd kind of get right into it and talk about the beers as we go. I am going to start right from the get-go. I will say this is the one I'm most interested in trying. This is from Sixpoint out of Brooklyn. We've had their beers on in the past. I think we had the Crisp on at least, their Pilsner. Awesome packaging on this stuff. Love these little 12-ounce tall boys. This one is called Three Beans, and this one has cacao bean, Romano bean, and coffee bean in the beer. So it's not just a coffee beer, there's a little bit more going on. And really kind of interesting story that it really could be its own show all to itself, this Three Bean. But they really kind of contacted three different experts of the individual beans, and it really goes back to the history of brewing where, if grains weren't available, people would use other fermentables, and beans do have those starches that can be converted to more simple sugars that then can be digested, so to speak, by yeast and produced alcohol. And I believe for this beer they actually did ferment some of the beans themselves. I don't think the bulk of the alcohol by any means was from the beans themselves, but I just thought it sounded really cool. Yeah, so wheat, barley, and then three beans. So it's a nice dark brown color. I'll give myself a little bit bigger pour. These beers, a lot of these are at room temperature, but I think we'll be all right here. There's a catastrophe going on. Let me check my time. Way late. Okay, so I don't know what Romano bean smells like, but this has a nice earthy nose to it. Definitely some chocolate and some coffee, well integrated. Not a lot of that kind of bitter roast chocolate going on, or bitter roast coffee, and the hint of the metallic note, and also a little bit of like a cayenne pepper, just a hint of it, and like a muted maybe milk chocolate note, but like a rich, maybe semi dark chocolate. Interesting. A lot more of that earthiness on the palate than I would have expected. Good amount of bitterness. Kind of a little bit of an aspirin-y bitterness. Some of that roast, I think, from the coffee as well. Light-bodied. Wow, 10% alcohol, hidden very, very well. I don't really get a lot of the booze at all. It's got like, I don't know, a beaniness to it, but kind of like a dried bean, like a husky thing going on. A little harsh. And an odd lingering bitterness that I'm not a big fan of. The chocolate flavor is muted. I'm getting a lot of that kind of earthy beany quality with some coffee roast as well. It's a decent beer. I'll go 88 with this beer, but not, unbelievably delicious beer, but very interesting and unique. Not a beer that I've ever had like this kind of in the past. Very earth-driven. Maybe it would go well with some kind of more earthier, rustic foods. But certainly glad I tried it. Moving on to Fort Collins. This is their double chocolate stout. This is Fort Collins Brewing, not moving on to Fort Collins the place, although Fort Collins Brewing obviously is located in Fort Collins. One of the smaller breweries there. I visited the place and compared to some of the big boys out in that town, like a little brewery called New Belgium Brewing, as well as Odell. These guys are much smaller, and they have a chocolate stout, but this is their double. Oh wait, no, this is their regular chocolate stout. 1 second, we're gonna do a last minute switch. Should I do the double? How about I do both really quick? All right, I didn't mean to do this one. This is their chocolate stout. I'm gonna fly through this one a little bit. I've got so much beer now. I don't know what the alcohol is. Rich brown flavor, color to it. Kind of a mahogany looking thing, a little bit of hints of red in it. Tastes a lot like, or smells, I keep saying taste, it smells a lot like a chocolate malt. And I mean that like a malt shake. It's light bodied, it's a little watery. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I would even know that there is chocolate. And roasted bar and chocolate malt. Okay, all right. So I don't think there is any chocolate in this beer. Sorry, I did not. I know you guys are gonna grill me for this. Roasted barley and chocolate malt. Yeah, so it looks like there's no chocolate in this beer, but like I said, you do get a chocolatey, malty character to it. There is some bitterness. It's quite thin bodied as well. It's fine. I'll go 88 with it, and I gotta move on because this is the one I was going to do. This is their double chocolate stout. This is a big boy. 8.5%, and let's try this guy. Kind of a mess, guys. Sorry about that. I'll slide this over. I've got some time. I'm like the worst businessman in the world. I'm gonna open my store a little late so I can put this show out. Ugh, I'm such a procrastinator. Okay, so this one smells creamier, richer, milk chocolate. Definitely a chocolate note to it, like a creamy, like Hershey bar thing. Fuller bodied, more heavily carbonated. I think there is actually chocolate in here. It's got a weird kind of waxy feel to it as well. Some bitterness in the back end, kind of a coffee bitterness. It's fine. I'll go 88 with this one as well. It doesn't really hit, I mean, it's like a chocolatey beer, but chocolate malt, not really an actual chocolate beer where there's chocolate in it, which some people may want. But it's Valentine's Day and I want some friggin' chocolate, man. And I've now gone halfway through it, blasted through this 3 beers faster than I think I've ever done it, and I haven't gotten that rich, big, chocolatey flavor yet, but I'm hoping that changes with the next 3. Let's see. This is a somewhat new one. This is the Sam Smith's Organic Chocolate Stout. They do use organic cocoa nibs. All the ingredients are organic here. This is USDA certified organic. and I have not had it. All right. Let's see what it says here. Yeah, organic cocoa, and chocolate malt as well. A lot of these, I'm guessing all these use chocolate malt. So, and chocolate malt is just something that is roasted very deeply to bring out some of those deep, rich, chocolatey flavors. So all malt, it can be given different flavors by how intensely it is toasted or roasted. Very similar to coffee. That's what I'm talking about. You smell this, it's like you're sticking your head into a pot of melting chocolate. Rich, deep chocolate all day long, a hint of like that kind of chili in there, a little bit of a fruity nose to it, but just deep, rich, melted chocolate. And the mouth follows. Semi-sweet, creamy, chocolatey. Kind of like a good milk chocolate though. Like a good, like a Cadbury if we're talking about English style chocolates. This is not like your fine Hout chocolate house chocolate here. It's like a good, solid, like a Rolo or something, because there's some caramel undertones to it, But obviously not quite that sweet. But there is some sweetness here. I mean, there's a nice kind of sweet note to it. A good kind of toffee character, which underlies the chocolate. Really nice beer here, well put together, but it's sweet. This is not the beer for everyone. But if you're talking about chocolate beers, I mean, by far, this is the best. Nice full mouth feel from that sweetness. Those sugars bolster the mouth feel. 5% alcohol too, so not going to knock you over. Excellent dessert beer, would go wonderful with anything kind of chocolatey or even fruity. Instead of dipping your strawberries in chocolate, why not have some strawberries and then drink some chocolate beer? It would go very well with raspberries or strawberries. I will go. See, now this 88 seems too high, because I'm going to go like 91 with this, but it's much more than 3 points. So I'm going to maybe go 86 with these guys, just because I can't go much higher than 91 on this. In fact, this is maybe a 90 or 91. I'm going to go 90 with this, like 86 with these guys. But it's definitely a difference. Don't take my numbers too seriously. It's just me, I don't know, being whoever. All right, a big boy is next. Big John. This is their Russian Imperial Stout with cacao nibs added. I think this is like a 9%er, if I remember correctly. Oh, geez, 11.5%. This is from Goose Island out in Chicago, out here. Still brewed in Chicago. Some of their beers are now brewed in New York, which you may or may not know, since the buyout from Stella. And this is a big bad boy. This bomber though, oh my goodness, it pours like motor oil. Beer's been out for I think 2 years now, year and a half, something like that. Is not the Bourbon County base, it's a different base beer, I believe. Could be wrong. And it pours like motor oil, and it's black, man. Much blacker than all the previous beers. Rim of brown here, like a really rich dark brown color. Very little head, just a tiny little skim of light brown head to it. And I'm getting kind of like a rummy chocolate covered cherry here, like a dark black cherry dipped in dark chocolate, and maybe like soaked a rum soaked black cherry dipped in chocolate. Yeah, it's nice. It's kind of exactly what it tastes like too. It tastes like a rum-soaked black cherry dipped in dark chocolate and then consumed. And then maybe something right at the end to add some bitterness. Maybe like a bitter dark chocolate. There you go. A very dark bitter chocolate is what it's dipped in. There's some heat to it from the alcohol. It dies off a little bit. You know, it's not like the most graceful beer I've ever had, stout I've ever had from Goose Island by any stretch. You know, even the bitterness just kind of lingers there, not eloquently, to say it oddly. It's a good beer. You know, it's every bit as good as that Sam Smith Stout, but I think it's trying to be more, if that makes sense. I think this beer is what it is. It's just a nice kind of Cadbury chocolate bar of a beer, and I think this is trying to be a little bit more. This reminds me of, like, you ever been to like a place that's trying to be a gastropub, and they want to have and they're new, and they want to have all this crazy, far-reaching items on their menu. And they want to have duck terrine, and they want to have, you know, the charcuterie plates, and they want to do all this crazy stuff, but they're not quite getting it. And you almost want to say to them, guys, just kind of step it down a notch and just have really solid pub food, and your whole place will be better. Rather than reaching here and only making it here, why not reach here and go above and beyond? And people will really kind of appreciate it. That's what I'm getting from this Big John here. I mean, it's a good beer. It's a good beer. It's a good beer. It's got some nice kind of cacao notes. You know what, I'll go 91 with it, or I'll go a 90.5. I think I do like this just a little bit more, just because, you know, this is the pub standard that really kind of hits it pretty nicely, and this is kind of the fine dining that, you know, it's like, was this meal really worth that much? That said, this is a $10 bomber, and, you know, it's not like they're charging an arm and a leg for this beer. So, good beer though, from Goose Island. And one that I would definitely drink again. Again, great after a meal, and one that I would like. So obviously this beer is nitrogenated. It's got the widget in there, you know, made famous by the Guinness Draft cans. This is Young's Double Chocolate Stout. I would say probably the most famous chocolate stout out there. Been around for a while, and, you know, talk about creamy. That's what these nitrogen cans will do. They're just going to give a really fine bubble, because you know, nitrogen bubbles are much, much smaller than CO2 bubbles, so it gives it a very creamy mouthfeel to it. And you can just kind of see, even now, it's got a very nice kind of white head to it, much like a Guinness. So this is the Double Chocolate Stout, and it has natural chocolate flavors. I don't know what that is. Again, much similar, very similar to this. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if this was gunning for this in a way. Just a rich milk chocolate note to it. A little bit one-dimensional, but a pretty good hit for it, you know? A little watery, you know, a little thin-bodied, although it is creamy. It's a little drier than I would have wanted, believe it or not. Definitely chocolatey, though. You know, the chocolate comes through much more in the nose. I think if they had sweetened it up, you probably would get a little bit more of that chocolate flavor as well. And there is a bit of chocolate malt bitterness here as well. I mean, it's not the least bitter beer in the world. Not the least bitter beer here. It's a good beer though. It's decent. I'll go You know, if these are 86, I'll go 88. You know, 90.5, 91, I think that's fine. You know, these beers are not going to be, you know, world-class beers, but they can be very nice examples of the style. You know, they can be solid Bs, Bs plus. B pluses, I should say. So I really think that these two are quite a bit better than the others. You know, I would put these guys pretty close to each other, then there, and then maybe this, because this was at least interesting. You know what I mean? Yeah, so there you go. I'll pour my closing beer here, and I'll just have some more of the Sam Smith organic chocolate. And then people who come today are certainly going to get to know a lot about the chocolate beers out on the market today. Thanks guys so much. I know I kind of rushed through this one, and I know you don't like when I apologize on camera, but guess what? That's who I am. I'm just an apologizing mofo. Getting ready for the grand opening here. It's going to be awesome. I'm going to just blast you guys with videos, really short, quick videos of some of the stuff I have open for the grand opening. So get ready for a lot of quick little videos about a lot of fun, rare beers coming up. But until then, I've got to finish what I've got in my hand, which is a really nice English organic chocolate stout from Sam Smith. So until next time, guys, I've got some great beer to drink, and hopefully you do too.